75 years after his death. General Georges Patton remains one of history's most fascinating and controversial figures. We remember him as Old Blood and Guts, the pearl-handled pistol-packing general who led American forces to victory across Europe. But there's a lesser-known, more complex side to Patton's story that emerged in the chaotic aftermath of World War II. A story that suggests he saw a new enemy on the horizon, one that wasn't German. For speaking out, he may have been silenced. Let's rewind to May 1945. Victory in Europe Day. The guns have fallen silent, and the world is celebrating the end of the most destructive war in history. The Allied powers, the United States, Great Britain, and the Soviet Union are victorious. But for General Patton, the celebration was short-lived. Stationed in occupied Germany, he got a first-hand look at the reality on the ground, and what he saw deeply disturbed him. He saw the Soviets, our supposed allies, not as liberators, but as a new, occupying force. In his personal diaries and letters, Patton didn't mince words. He described the Soviets with contempt, viewing their communist ideology as a grave threat to freedom, just as Nazism had been. He witnessed their brutality in the territories they controlled, and grew increasingly furious at the political agreements being made that ceded Eastern Europe to Soviet influence. He famously wrote, "We have been fighting the wrong people." This was a shocking statement coming from one of America's top generals. He believed the West had underestimated the Soviet Union's ambition and that a new conflict was inevitable. Patton wasn't just writing in his diary. He was vocal about his beliefs to anyone who would listen, including reporters. He argued that the American army should not have stopped at the Elbe River. He believed they should have pushed on, all the way to Moscow if necessary, to confront the Soviet threat head-on, while the American military was at its peak strength. He felt that the politicians were making a catastrophic mistake by demobilizing the army too quickly, leaving Europe vulnerable. He even suggested rearming divisions of the defeated German Wehrmacht to fight alongside the Allies against the Red Army. Now, you can imagine how these ideas went over in Washington. The world was war-weary. No one wanted to even think about starting another conflict, especially with an ally who had just helped defeat Hitler. Patton's superiors, including General Eisenhower, saw his outspokenness as dangerous and insubordinate. They viewed him as a loose cannon who was threatening the fragile peace. He was warned repeatedly to tone it down, to stick to his administrative duties as military governor of Bavaria. But Patton being Patton, he couldn't stay quiet. His public criticism of the denazification policies, which he compared to a political witch hunt, was the final straw. He was relieved of his command of the Third Army, the army he had led to glory, and reassigned to a desk job, essentially commanding a paper army. For a warrior like Patton, this was a devastating blow, a public humiliation. He felt betrayed by the very country he had served his entire life. He believed he was being silenced for telling an uncomfortable truth that nobody wanted to hear. Then, in December 1945, just months after the war ended, tragedy struck. General Patton was involved in a bizarre low-speed car accident near Mannheim, Germany. While everyone else in the car was uninjured, Patton suffered a catastrophic spinal cord injury that left him paralyzed from the neck down. He clung to life for 12 days before succumbing to his injuries. His sudden and strange death immediately fueled speculation. Was it just a tragic accident? Or was it something more sinister? The theory that Patton was assassinated has persisted for decades. Proponents point to his powerful enemies, both in the United States and the Soviet Union. His anti-Soviet stance was a direct threat to Stalin's plans for Eastern Europe. His diary and his intention to write a memoir could have exposed sensitive information and embarrassed high-ranking American officials. Could a shadowy operative have been tasked with ensuring his permanent silence? While no definitive proof of an assassination has ever been brought to light, the questions remain. Regardless of how he died, Patton's warnings about the Soviet Union proved to be chillingly prophetic. Within a few short years, the Iron Curtain descended across Europe and the Cold War. A decades-long standoff between the West and the Soviet bloc began. The very conflict Patton had predicted came to pass. It makes you wonder, what if the world had listened to Old Blood and Guts? Could the Cold War have been avoided? Or was he a brilliant but reckless general whose plan would have plunged a war-torn world into another, even more terrible conflict? History is full of these what-ifs, and the final, controversial chapter of General Patton's life is one of the most compelling. What do you think? Was Patton a prophet who saw the future, or a warmonger who couldn't accept peace? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this look into a forgotten chapter of history, make sure to like and subscribe for more.